Hi everyone, I hope you've been enjoying Charlotte's Web. Today I'm reading chapter 8. I know we're not going in the sequence that we had planned on, but don't worry about that. Just make sure you keep track of the last chapter that you listened to so that you can move on to the next chapter, okay? Grab your materials and you're open up to the page where you've been writing your inferences. And I'll share my screen with you in a second. Pause if you need to, okay? Okay, so this chapter is not very long. This is chapter 8, okay? So I'm gonna go over the 3 words that I found that I thought we should go over just to make sure that we understand the meaning of them and we can get an understanding as I read along, okay? First word is vaguely. You can repeat after me, vaguely. Second word, it's unremitting. Unremitting. Last word, queerly. Queerly. Okay, so the first word, vaguely, it means uncertain, unclear, like you're not so sure, where you're doubting it, right? Vaguely, like you have a doubt, right? Unremitting or unremitting is never relaxing. So you're always on the go, never relaxing, okay? And queerly, it's strange way, so that if someone's looking at you queerly, it's because they're looking at you strange, like right, queerly, like a queerly stare. And you're going to hear that in the reading so that you know what queerly means. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start the reading, and then we'll go back to discuss our inference for the day. Okay, so here we go. Chapter 8. Remember, think and listen to what I'm reading so that you can come up with your own title to this chapter, right? Okay, chapter 8. On Sunday morning, Mr. and Miss Arabelle and Fern were sitting at breakfast in the kitchen. Avery had finished and was upstairs looking for his slingshot. Slingshot is like a toy, something that you have that rubber band and you release it and it shoots out that toy, right? Or a piece of rock, or a piece of whatever you want to shoot out. So it's like a toy. Did you know that Uncle Homer's gooselings had hatched? Asked Fern. How many? Asked Mr. Arabelle. 7, replied Fern. There were 8 eggs, but 1 egg didn't hatch, and the goose told Templeton she didn't want it anymore, so she took it away. Oh, so he took it away, sorry. The goose did what? Said Miss Arabelle, gazing at her daughter with a queer, worried look. Told Templeton she didn't want the egg anymore, repeated Fern. Who's Templeton? Asked Miss Arabelle. He's the rat, replied Fern. None of us like him much. Who's us? Said Mr. Arabelle. Oh, everyone in the barn cellar. Wilbur and the sheep and the lambs and the goose and the gander and the gooselings and Charlotte and me. Charlotte, said Miss Arabelle. Who's Charlotte? She's Wilbur's best friend. She's terribly clever. What does she look like? Asked Mr. Arabelle. Well, said Fern thoughtfully. She has 8 legs. All spiders do, I guess. Charlotte's a spider? Said Mr. or Mrs. Fern. Sorry, said Fern's mother. Fern nodded. A big gray one. She has a web across the top of Wilbur's doorway. She catches flies and sucks their blood. Wilbur adores her. Does he really? Said Miss Arabelle, rather vaguely. She was staring at Fern with a weird expression on her face. Oh yes, Wilbur adores Charlotte, said Fern. Do you know what Charlotte said when the gooselings hatched? I haven't the finest idea, said Mr. Arabelle. Tell what? Or tell us. Well, When the first gosling stuck its little head out from under the goose, I was sitting on my stool in the corner and Charlotte was on her web. She made a speech. She said, I am sure that every one of us here in the barn cellar will be gratified to learn that after 4 weeks of unremitting efforts, patience on the part of the goose, she now has something to show for. Don't you think that was a pleasant thing for her to say? Yes, I do, said Mr. Arabelle. And now, Fern, it's time to get ready for Sunday school. And tell Avery to get ready. And this afternoon, you can tell me more about what goes on in Uncle Homer's barn. Aren't you spending quite a lot of time there? You go there almost every afternoon, don't you? I like it there, replied Fern. She wiped her mouth and ran upstairs. After she had left the room, Miss Arabelle spoke in a low voice to her husband. I worry about Fern, she said. Did you hear the way she rambled on about the animals, pretending that they talked? Mr. Arabelle chuckled. Maybe they do talk, he said. I've sometimes wondered. At any rate, don't worry about Fern. She's just got a lively imagination. Kids think they hear all sorts of things. Just the same, I do worry about her, replied Miss Arabelle. I think I shall ask Dr. Dorian about her the next time I see him. He loves Fern almost as much as we do, and I want him to know about how queerly she is acting about that pig and everything. I don't think it's normal. You know perfectly well animals don't talk. Mr. Arabelle grinned. Maybe our ears aren't as sharp as Fern's, he said. Okay, that's the end of chapter 8. It was a really short one, I told you. I want us to go back. Let me share my screen. Let's go to our next slide and talk about the inference we want to make. So I was thinking, I want you to also come up with your own inference, right? Because you can come up with your inference and I can come up with my inference, right? We can infer a lot of things in every chapter that we read. But I want you to take a minute, if you can pause the video and think about what can I infer about Fern, right? What can we infer about her right now? So I want you to pause and jot down in your notebook, just on the same page where you've been writing all your other inferences. Okay, jot down what can we infer about Fern right now. Okay, and I'll share my inference with you when you come back. Okay, so I was thinking, what can we infer? So I was thinking that Fern really enjoys and thinks highly of all of her animal friends, right? She talks to her mom and dad about how great and the things that they're doing and how they speak, especially Charlotte. So I'm gonna infer, so I'm gonna put, I can infer that Fern really enjoys and thinks highly of all of her, really enjoys and thinks highly of all of her animal friends. If you have another, or if you had your other or different inference, that's totally fine. But if you didn't, if you couldn't come up with anything, go ahead and write this one down. And textual evidence, I know this because I read something in there. I hope you caught it. Let me write down what I remember reading about how she speaks about Charlotte, right? Textual evidence. The way she explains and describes what happens in the barn for example, on my evidence would be barn like in age 53. She says, and I'm going to quote, okay? So she says, I'm going to grab it from the book so you know exactly what I'm talking about. So from page 53, she says, she's Wilbur's best friend. She's terribly clever, right? She's referring to Charlotte. So she's, I'm going to put quotes, she's Wilbur's best friend. She's terribly clever. Okay, that makes me think that she thinks real highly about these animals, right? Just she thinks Charlotte is amazing, that she's so smart. Okay, so her motivation on this, I came up with, I feel like Charlotte or Fern's motivation towards this is that she wants everyone to understand and believe that these animals are smart, that these animals have thoughts and ideas, right? And they have a life just like we do as humans. So she's, in a sense, humanizing them, right? They have names, she shares their ideas and what they discuss and the things that are happening in the barn. So that's her motivation. I think she's humanizing these animals. She's making them, she wants her friends and family to see them as that they matter, okay? So she wants her parents, and let's write that down. She wants her parents and everyone, let me move this so you can see it, and everyone to know that these animals matter. She talks about them as if they were human. They all have ideas and are living life just like a human does, or a human would. So I think that's her motivation. She wants everyone to to see them in this way. They're not just animals. To some, you know, to some of us, we're like, it's not just, for example, the pig, right? He's not just a meal. He has, there's something there. She makes him seem like a person, right? So since she sees these farm animals this way, she wants everyone to see them this way as well, right? So now I want you to think about, we read this chapter, we just discussed our inference. What would you title this chapter? Think about what would be a great title for this chapter. I would title this chapter because Okay, so go ahead and take a moment to write that down, pause the video, and respond to that last part of our slide here so we can move on to the next one, okay? Okay, if you're back, I'm gonna share the summary that I wrote for chapter 8, and then I want you to create your own summary as well, okay? So the next morning, Fern tells her mom and dad about what occurred in the farm, right? The day prior, without a thought in mind about how her parents would react to her explanation of what all the animals did in the farm, that they, in the farm, that they had names and spoke right? So she didn't even think about what her parents or how her parents would react as she spoke about these animals. She told them all about each and every one of them. She described and quoted Charlotte's speech when the goslings arrived. Her mother is now concerned about her behavior and shares with Dad that she will mention it to their doctor. Fern's father dismisses the comment and doesn't think much about her behavior. He reminds Mom that children have a wild imagination, right? Because he doesn't react to it. He's like, he even chuckles, right? He's like, haha, she just has a great imagination, right? He doesn't truly believe that animals speak, although he does say, well, maybe they do speak and we don't have those great ears like Fern does, right? But I think he's just teasing, of course. So go ahead and write your summary to this chapter, and get ready for chapter 9, okay? Again, regardless of who's reading the chapter, of course, you know you have to just follow along. So if you listen to chapter 8 today, remember to look for chapter 9, okay? Thank you, guys.